Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to review Kida from the Atlantis The Lost Empire series. The ability description for Kida is Milo Tsums that can be connected with Kida Tsums appear. Connecting them clears surrounding Tsums. And this gameplay that you're currently watching right now is a skill level 1 game demonstration. And in order for you to activate Kida's ability, you're going to need to clear anywhere between 18 to 23 Tsums, and this is going to depend on your skill level. The minimum score is 90 with a maximum score of 1217. So in terms of scoring, she's pretty good at the high scoring range, but if you have her at a pretty low level, probably not that great. And I suspect based on the ability, Kida is going to be a viable Tsum to get a pretty high score, so stay tuned for that. I don't have Kida yet at a very high level. All of the gameplays that you're going to see in this video are very low level. They were all my first attempts, and I think they were all below level 5. And if you want to get her to skill level 6, you're going to need to get a total of 36 copies of her in the premium box or using skill tickets. And in terms of her ability, there are two different components. One I briefly already mentioned, which is how many Tsums that's needed to activate her ability. At skill level 1, you're going to need a total of 23, and every single time you level her up by 1, the amount of Tsums that's needed to activate her ability will go down by 1. So by skill level 6, you're only going to need a total of 18 to activate her ability. So the idea here is that you're going to be able to activate a lot more abilities per game. And the ability time is also going to increase by 0.4 seconds every time you level her up. So skill level 1, it's going to be a total of 4 seconds. And by the time you get her to skill level 6, you're going to get 2 additional seconds, which is 6 seconds. Now, before I go any further, if you guys are enjoying this type of content where I review Tsums, do monthly leaks, go over the selection boxes and pickup capsule, please consider subscribing to this channel. Your subscription really helps me out a lot. I also have a Discord server, so if you're looking for a community of players who also plays this game, or if you need help with the game, consider scanning this QR code on the screen to join my Discord server. I will also have invite links in the video description down below, so check that out if you can't scan this code on the screen. The invite link should take you directly to my Discord server. Okay, so now let's take a look at all 6 of the skill levels, starting with skill level 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to find out which level is best for Kida and if it's worth getting to skill level 6. And just as a quick recap, the difference here is that at skill level 1, it's going to need 23 Tsums to activate the ability, 22 for skill level 2, and 21 for skill level 3. In terms of ability time, there's going to be 4 seconds for skill level 1, 4.4 seconds at skill level 2, and 4.8 seconds for skill level 3. Now it might sound like 0.4 seconds is not a lot of time, but it actually can be, and it might actually make a lot of difference, especially if you are a fast player that can make a long chain very quickly. And if you're a player that can make chains really quickly, 0.4 seconds could equate to 1 additional chain, and 1 additional chain could range anywhere between 9 chains to 40. So if you are someone who can make chains really quickly, then getting to skill level 6 might be more worth it for you than some players who take a little bit more time to make chains. I would say I'm not the fastest, but I'm also not the slowest, so I'm probably somewhere in the middle range. I typically don't do as good using these Tsums that make really long chains and burst surrounding Tsums. They're not my best type of Tsums that I use. But if you are a player that can make chains really quickly, then Kida is your go-to. Now let's talk a little bit about strategies, and I have 3 really big ones for Kida. So number 1 is make the longest chain possible during the ability time. The longer the chain, the more coins you're going to get, as well as a higher score. So you want to try to make a long chain as much as possible, especially that first one that you make, to the best of your abilities. And my second tip is try to use the overcharge as much as possible, because you want to be able to activate more abilities per game, especially with Kida. Now, one thing I want to show you guys is a side-by-side comparison of all of the abilities activated at the same time at skill level 1, 2, and 3. And there's actually one more tip that I have for you when you're using this ability. So I'm going to slow this down and tell you what I'm doing here. So when you are playing Kida, once the ability is activated and she shows you where all the Tsums are going to turn into Kidas and as well as Milo, in your head you should start strategizing where to connect the chain. At this point on this screen, once it starts glowing yellow or white or blue, depending on what color you see on your screen, you want to start thinking about how you want to make the chain. And again, you want to make the longest chain possible. So take a look at skill level 1. It was a good example that I saw that there was essentially like a Z shape. I was able to connect across the screen, and I was able to get a chain of 39. At skill level 2 and skill level 3, I wasn't so lucky and I wasn't able to make long chains. And in this case, you'll see that I was able to get a lot of other smaller chains, and I was able to create a lot of bubbles. And this could be good and bad. Good in the sense that you could use the bubble to get back into fever time and also burst Kidas that are on the screen. But it's bad because when you're making a long chain using the ability during Kida's ability time, you don't maximize the chain count. So what I do recommend is right after the ability is completed, take a look at your charge up as well as your fever, and then make a decision on how many of those bubbles you want to burst. If your fever bar is relatively full, then you definitely want to burst a majority of those bubbles. But if your fever bar is about to run out, you want to have about 3 magic bubbles to help you get back into fever time. Usually bursting about 3 magic bubbles should get you right back into fever time, so you do need to plan a little bit on how to use the magic bubbles. Now moving on to the higher skill level at skill level 4, 5, and 6. And as a recap, at these higher skill level, at skill level 4, you're going to need a total of 20 Tsums to activate the ability, 19 for skill level 5, 18 for skill level 6, and the ability time is going to last 5.2 seconds for skill level 4, 5.6 for skill level 5, and 6 seconds at skill level 6. And there's actually one more strategy or one more tip that I have for you guys that I haven't covered yet, and that's using the magic bubble to speed up the animation of the Tsums clearing. So I recommend going into the ability, you want to have at least 1 magic bubble before activating the ability, and then once you make that first long chain, you want to burst the magic bubble right away to skip the animation. Take a look at skill level 6 here. This is a good example of not having a bubble and the animation takes a little bit longer to play through. But if you use a magic bubble right after you make a really long chain, that skips that entire animation. You could also use this trick on any other Tsums in the game. It's not exclusive to Kida. Now let me show you guys a side-by-side comparison of skill level 4, 5, and 6 activated at the same time. Very similarly, I'm going to let this play through in full speed and then I'll walk you guys through what I'm actually doing here. And I want you guys to focus on skill level 6 here, and I'll show you what I mean by using the bubble to speed up the animation. For skill level 5, I didn't have a bubble ready, so you can compare side by side to see how much of a difference that makes. Skill level 4, I had a magic bubble as well, so I used the same strategy. And just like the lower skill level, once all of the Tsums turn white, you want to start strategizing on how to make your long chain. That didn't go as planned for skill level 6 because I did end up bursting a bubble right before and I had a gap in the middle. However, it still worked out because the Tsums that fell down was also Milo and also Kida, so I was able to make a really long chain. So compare skill level 5, you see how that it took a little bit of time to play through all of the Tsums clearing, but skill level 6, I used that bubble right here and all of the Tsums burst and all of the ones at the top fell down. So the animation that it skips essentially is the part where it bursts each Tsum one by one. It skips all of that, and depending on how long your chain is, that could save you up to 3 seconds or even more. So that's why I recommend having a bubble going into the ability time so you can use it to skip the animation. So overall, I really do like Kida. Kida's a really challenging Tsum. You do need to play fast. So if you're not a fast player and you don't necessarily want to do things during the ability time, Kida's not that great for you. Now, I've gotten the question on Kida if she's worth getting or not, and the short answer is yes. I do think that Kida is very effective at the lower skill level. Now, I don't necessarily recommend investing her to get her to skill level 6. Definitely she's a lot better at the higher skill level, but if you are planning on using skill tickets on her, I think there are other Tsums you could use to invest in versus Kida. Kida is a really good Tsum to get if you are a beginner because she's really effective at skill level 2 already. So that means that you're only getting 2 copies of her and you're already getting 2,300 coins, or at least in that range. I think that if you use the 5-4 and coin boost, you could definitely get a lot more coins at skill level 2. All of these gameplays that you see here were my first attempts, so I didn't have a lot of practice with them. So I think that with some practice and some patience, you could definitely get a higher score. So that's why I think Kida, if you get her to skill level 2, you could be very happy with that already. Save your skill tickets on a really top coin earner. I don't think Kida is going to be a top coin earner by any means, even if you get her to skill level 6. I think there are other Tsums you could invest in. So for that reason, I would say get her to skill level 2 and stop there, save your coins, don't spend your skill tickets, and save it for another Tsum. So that's my review of Kida. I hope that you guys found this video helpful or at least entertaining, and if you would like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching.